Hello, everyone. And many of you are familiar with the duo because my mom, after being a retired educator for 30 years, she has been behind the scenes with the magazine, and 1021 is in honor of her. She's born October 21st. We are here in lovely Atlanta today to cover and also be a part of the services for the great Congressman John Lewis. It is a very packed event. People are coming from all over. Media is from all over, and we just crossed over in downtown Atlanta the Black Lives Matter artwork on the grounds. It is very packed. We have 3 sitting presidents of the United States. That would be Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, President Clinton, and President George Bush. President Carter sent a message to the family. So we are down here, and I am very proud to cover this event. We were going to cover the event in DC, but one of the editors, they had a family emergency, so I said I would just take it upon myself because, you know, no matter being a publisher or a founder, you know, the writer is always within you, the reporter is always within you, and we're just glad to be here. So I thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
And also I wanted to let people know that I'll be taking a quick hiatus in August. August is around the corner because I have to do some very personal and private self-care, and Mom's going to be with me all the way for that. So, you know, it's a blessing when you can have your parents with you. Now I'm about to show you all something very poignant here, and I'm going to turn this around, and this is a mural. That's a mural of George Floyd. Let me see if I can get, okay, there. Can you see that? That is a mural of George Floyd in the wake of the heightened wake of Black Lives Matter. Like I said, we just crossed over the street here in Atlanta of the Black Lives Matter artwork, and then there is the mural for George Floyd. And today, on this beautiful day in Atlanta, is the homegoing services for John Lewis. Now, many of you are probably tuned in to the coverage that is happening. And so I'm going to turn this back around.
Yes, we have.
To build a better community.
So, right now, we're listening to CNN, and we're also looking at the live stream. But we wanted to come on and let you know that we are doing our coverage, and we'll be doing coverage for about, I would say, 2 days. So it's good to be here. I'm going to be catching up with some close ones, and we'll be doing that after the coverage. But we wanted to lock you all in here to our coverage. And a lot of media are doing the best coverage that they can because of COVID, and also because they have the streets pretty blocked off. And that is normal when you have presidents in the city, as we've covered the inaugurals and the DNC officially credentialed.
Yes.
So we know about the strict policies of that. We also want to give a shout out to the Georgia policemen that we have encountered, and the sheriffs. They've been wonderful.
Wonderful.
So I definitely wanted to say that as well, because we all know the heightened backlash that's happening with the law enforcement people. But there are some really good ones out here, some in our family,
Yes.
close ones that we know. But so far, they've been gracious and, you know, giving a little leeway to those of us with media to cover as much as we can. I'm not sure if I'm going to get out because of COVID.
That's right.
We're in spiked places, and the thing is to have the safety first, and which is what I told all of the contributing editors and everyone like that. So we will be bringing more coverage. We're going to be tuned in listening to the eulogy, because President Barack Obama is supposed to be doing the eulogy for the great John Lewis. And what an extraordinary man, indeed. So we're going to listen in to a little bit of the CNN. So far, it's been great, right?
It's been great.
Two years ago, Congressman John Lewis attended the inauguration of an American president. Although he had seen many presidents, he made a beeline to this president and asked him to sign his program.
And they're talking about President Barack Obama, who will be doing the eulogy.
Yes.
Because of you, John, it's my esteemed honor to welcome back to the Ebenezer pulpit, 44th President of the United States of America, Barack Obama.
Yes.
But before he comes, Jennifer Holliday will come once again. Take my hand, precious Lord.
She sung beautifully before when we were listening in. And again, I was glad to cover this event because again, in August I will be taking a quick hiatus, but the continuation of posts and all of that will be carried on by the editors and interns. Oh yes.
Take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired. I am weak. I am worn.
And you're live with 1021 Magazine.
Lead me on to the light. Take my hand.
Beautiful voice.
Precious Lord, and lead me on home. When my way grows drear.
Okay, we have some notes that we took. You have them. You want to kind of go through some of the highlights. Of course, we know that a lot of people are already tuned in to the coverage. And again, this is live with me, BB Davis, publisher and founder of 1021 Magazine. And my mother is here, Dee Davis. Okay, there were many great readings. And we heard from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter, Bernice. And let me look at some of this. We had scriptures coming from the 23rd Psalm and 1 Corinthians 13th verse. And Black Lives. You want to read some of that? Because that's pretty much in your handwriting there.
Black lives have equity.
Equity, yes.
in every facet of life. A beautiful song sung what you do for Christ will last.
Yes, and that was wonderful. Then we also heard from some other notes that we have here. And of course, many people have been tuned in to listen to and look at the broadcast.
Yes.
But it's your handwriting. So, George W. Bush, President Bush, he did a really good speaking. I thought it was pretty wonderful. And do you have what he said on some of that?
He said that John tended to the chickens and preached to them, probably married some of them. But when his mother got ready to cook it for dinner,
To cook the chickens for dinner.
he didn't eat it.
No, he didn't. Kind of reminds me of what you said about your stuff with growing up.
Yeah,
Not wanting to eat the chickens.
not wanting to eat the chickens that I saw my grandmother wring the neck off, and
Just didn't want to do it.
it was on the table, and I wouldn't eat any of it.
And then we have some more here.
All people are born in the image of God.
Yes.
Difference of opinions is democracy in action.
And that's true. You don't have to be of the same opinions, but you can come together for the greater good. And I think that is the theme that we're seeing with Black Lives Matter, with the pandemic, with making choices that is going to fit the structure of your life. Because you got parents out here in a pandemic, jobs are lost, or salaries cut. You want your children to have a good education. But do you send them back to school? There are so many facets that we're facing. So there are going to be the differences of opinions. But when you can come together, it's for the greater good.
It's for the greater good.
It's for the greater good.
Indeed so.
Lord, we need you right now. Oh, yeah.
That was Jennifer Holliday, the great Jennifer Holliday. Jennifer Holliday has shown love to 1021 magazine, and she will always be our So we thank you so much for locking into our initial live stream. We just want to let everyone know that we're down here in Atlanta, and we will be doing more coverage. But up next is going to be the 44.
Indeed. God bless you all.
God bless you all.
James wrote to the believers.
We're going to listen into a little bit, and then we will sign out to this coverage,
Consider it
and we'll be back with more.
pure joy, my brothers and sisters.
Thank you for being live with us here at
Whenever
1021
you face
on
trials of
YouTube.
many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance.
Oh, yes.
But perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete,
Good with that. We're still
lacking
live.
nothing.
And we thank you all for being here.
It is a great honor
I'm going to move my seat back a little bit.
to be back in Ebenezer Baptist Church,
Oh, yes. We're just right
in the pulpit of its greatest pastor,
a few blocks from there.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., to pay my respects to perhaps his finest disciple, an American whose faith was tested again and again to produce a man of pure joy
Oh, yes.
and unbreakable perseverance. John Robert Lewis. To those who have spoken, to Presidents Bush and Clinton, Madam Speaker, Reverend Warnock, King, John's family, friends, his beloved staff,
If you want to, you can take the
Mayor
pants off.
Bottoms.
You did?
I've come here today because I, like so many Americans, owe a great debt to John Lewis
Yes, we
and
do.
his forceful vision of freedom. You know, this country is a constant work in progress. We're born with instructions to form a more perfect union.
Oh, yes.
Explicit in those words is the idea that we're imperfect. That what gives each new generation purpose is to take up the unfinished work of the last and carry it further than any might have thought possible. John Lewis, first of the Freedom Riders, head of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, youngest speaker at the March on Washington, leader of the march from Selma to Montgomery, member of Congress representing the people of this state
We're going to roll
and this district for
and listen.
33 years, mentor to young people, including me at the time, until his final day on this earth. He not only embraced that responsibility, but he made it his life's work, which isn't bad for a boy from Troy. John was born into modest means. That means he was poor.
44.
In the heart of the Jim Crow South, to parents who picked somebody else's cotton.
Yes.
Apparently he didn't take to farm work. On days when he was supposed to help his brothers and sisters with their labor, he'd hide under the porch and make a break for the school bus when it showed up. Serious child. Once you learn something, she told her son, once you get something inside your head, no one can take it away from you.
Exactly. Exactly.
As a boy, John listened through the door after bedtime. His father's friends complained about the Klan. One Sunday as a teenager, he heard Dr. King preach on the radio. As a college student in Tennessee, he signed up for Jim Lawson's. John Lewis was getting something inside his head. An idea he couldn't shake took hold of him, that nonviolent resistance and civil disobedience were the means to change laws, but also change hearts and change minds and change nations
Yes. Yes.
and change the world.
Yes.
So he helped organize the Nashville campaign in 1960. He and other young men and women sat at a segregated lunch counter, well-dressed, straight back, refusing to let a milkshake poured on their heads or a cigarette extinguished on their backs or a foot aimed at their ribs. Refused to let that dent their dignity and their sense of purpose. And after a few months, the Nashville campaign achieved the first successful desegregation of public facilities in any major city in the South. John got a taste of jail for the first, second, third, well, several times.
Okay.
But he also got a taste of victory.
Yes.
And it consumed him with righteous purpose. And he took the battle deeper into the South. That same year, just weeks after the Supreme Court ruled the segregation of interstate bus facilities was unconstitutional, John and Mary Lafayette bought 2 tickets, climbed aboard a Greyhound, sat up front months
Trying to get
before
the
the
shot
first
off.
official freedom rides.
Yes.
He was doing a test. Trip was unsanctioned.
Okay. Is something
Few
coming?
knew what
Because I have no idea
they were up
what
to.
he's doing.
Trying to go up in the air.
There was
Every shot
nobody
through the
coming.
night. Apparently, the angry driver stormed out of the bus and into the bus station.
Welcome to Atlanta. He just sitting there.
And John and Bernard had no idea what he might come back with, or who he might come back with.
No, you know he needs to move up a little bit.
Nobody was there to protect him.
Johnny.
There were no
People,
camera
look away,
crews to
honey.
record events.
You don't have.
Wait, you know, sometimes we read about this and we kind of take it for granted, or at least we act as if it was inevitable. Imagine the courage of 2 people Malia's age,
Right.
younger
Yes.
than my oldest daughter, on their own,
Courage.
to challenge an entire infrastructure of oppression.
Right.
John was only 20 years old, but he pushed all 20 of those years to the center of the table, betting everything, all of it, that his example could challenge centuries of convention and generations of brutal violence and countless daily indignities suffered by African Americans.
Okay.
Like those Old Testament prophets speaking truth to kings.
Right.
John Lewis did not hesitate, and he kept on getting on board buses and sitting at lunch counters, got his mugshot taken again and again, marched again and again on a mission
And again.
to change America.
Yes. We have our marching orders. That was another
Spoke to
one of the themes and
Quarter
still
million people at the March on
talking about
Washington
the
when he was
marching
just
orders.
23.
Well done, thy good and faithful servant. We have our
Helped
marching orders
organize
still.
the Freedom
Yes.
Summer in Mississippi when he was just 24.
Welcome to the live stream, everyone. We are live in
At the ripe
Atlanta.
old age of 25, John was asked to lead the march from Selma to Montgomery. He was warned that Governor Wallace had ordered troopers to use violence. But he and Jose Williams and others led them across that bridge anyway.
Yes.
And we've all seen the film, the footage, and photographs.
Yes.
President Clinton mentioned the trench coat, the knapsack,
Yes. Knapsack. The other guy
tree,
said
the
back.
apple, the toothbrush. Apparently, jails weren't big on such creature comforts. And you look at those pictures, and John looks so young, and he's small in stature.
Yes.
Looking every bit that shy by a serious child that his mother had raised, and yet he's full of purpose. God's put perseverance in him. And we know what happened to the marchers that day. Their bones were cracked by billy clubs. Their eyes and lungs choked with tear gas. They knelt to pray, which made their heads easier targets. And John was struck in the skull, and he thought he was going to die. Surrounded by the sight of young Americans gagging and bleeding and trampled. Victims in their own country of state-sponsored violence. And the thing is,
today we're feeling
I imagine initially that day, the troopers thought they'd won the battle. You can imagine the conversations they had afterwards. You can imagine them saying, yeah, we showed them. They figured they'd turn the protesters back over the bridge. That they preserved a system that denied the basic humanity of their fellow citizens. Except this time there were some cameras there. This time the world saw what happened, bore witness to Black Americans who were asking for nothing more than to be treated like other Americans. Who were not asking for special treatment, just equal treatment, promised to them a century before, and almost another century before that. And when Joe picked up and checked himself out,
as you all can see, that's the block
he would make sure
down there.
That was,
So,
in the words of Scripture, hard pressed on every side, but not crushed.
we're gonna go a little further deeper in.
But not in despair. Persecuted but not abandoned. Struck down but not destroyed. So turn the bright
Go
side.
this way.
A battered prophet.
This is the detour.
Bandages around his head.
We're here at
He
the
said,
MLK historical site.
more marchers
No,
will come
you
now.
want me to come? Okay. All right, thank you.
And people came.
We
And
good.
the troopers parted. And the marchers reached Montgomery. And the words reached the White House. And Lyndon Johnson, son of the South, said, we shall overcome.
And this is the Martin Luther King.
Was signed into law.
Can you read that, Mom?
National Historical Park.
Yes, that's the
The
historical
life
park
of
over
John
there.
Lewis was in so many ways exceptional.
We have the park rangers and everybody out here.
Vindicated the faith in our founding, redeemed that faith.
And it is quite packed.
That most American of ideas. The idea that any of us, ordinary people without rank or wealth or title or fame, can somehow point out the imperfection
Okay, we're back also here a little bit.
of this
and,
nation and come together
we're just in the
and
historical
challenge the
side.
status fully aligns with our highest
It's so
ideas.
good to hear President Barack Obama.
Yes, indeed.
What a radical idea.
So good to hear all of the
What a
presidents.
revolutionary notion. This idea that any of us, ordinary people, a young kid from Troy,
And what does that say over there?
Mount Zion.
They stand up to the powers and principalities and say,
Zion
no,
Church.
this isn't right, this isn't true,
Baptist Church over there.
this isn't just. We can do better. On the battlefield of justice, Americans like John, Americans like Reverends Lowry and C.T. Vivian,
Oh, yes. Great.
2 other patriots that we lost this year,
Yes, yes,
liberated all of us.
yes.
The many Americans came to take for granted. America was built by people like that.
Yes. Yes. There's someone right there
America
walking
was
from the
built
service.
by John Lewis.
Yes, yes. Oh, yes. I'll show you all a little bit more of the street scene.
He, as much as anyone in our history, brought this country a little bit closer to our highest ideals.
Yes.
And someday when we do finish that long journey towards freedom, when we do form a more perfect union,
Yes.
whether it's years from now or decades or even if it takes another 2 centuries,
Right.
John Lewis will be a founding father of that full, fair, better America.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
And yet, as exceptional as John was, here's the thing, John never believed
This is
that what he did was more than any citizen of this country can do.
okay.
I mentioned in the
And this is it, everyone, if you can kind of see it. This is the Black Lives Matter
John was just how gentle.
mural that we have, that we came. Let's see if you can see it this way.
This story, remarkable career.
So, everyone has been so patient, right? Never grown.
And respect, because it was innate to him. This idea that any of us can do what he did
Right, yes,
if we're willing to persevere.
right.
He believed that in all of us there exists the capacity for great courage. In all of us there's a longing to do what's right.
Yes,
That in all of us there's a willingness to love all people
yes,
and extend to them their God-given rights to dignity
yes,
and respect. So many of us lose that sense. It's taught out of us.
yes,
We start feeling as if, in fact, we can't afford to extend kindness or decency to other people. That we're better off if we love other people and looking down on them. And so often that's encouraged in our culture. But John always said, he always saw the best in us. And he never gave up.
right,
He never stopped speaking out because he saw the best in us.
exactly,
He believed in us even when we didn't believe in ourselves.
yes,
And as a congressman he didn't arrest, he kept getting himself arrested. There's
good
no
trouble, good
He
trouble,
didn't sit out any fight. Standing all night long on the floor of the United States Capitol. I know his staff was stressed.
yes,
But the testing of his faith produced perseverance.
yes, exactly,
Not over. It's not yet won. We are judged by the content of our character. He knew from his own life that progress is fragile, that we have to be vigilant against the darker currents of this country's history, of our own history, where there are whirlpools of violence and hatred and despair that can always rise again. Bull Connor may be gone, but today we witness with our own eyes police officers kneeling on the necks of Black Americans. George Wallace may be gone, but we can witness our federal government sending agents to use tear gas and batons against peaceful demonstrators.
Speak.
We may no longer have to guess the number of jelly beans in the jar in order to cast a ballot. But even as we sit here,
That went over some people's head right there.
there are those in power who are doing their darndest to discourage people from voting by
He's
closing
doing it. He's
polling
talking.
locations
He's talking.
and targeting minorities and students with restrictive ID laws and attacking our voting rights with surgical precision, even undermining the Postal Service in the run-up to an election that's going to be dependent on mail-in ballots so people don't get sick.
Hey,
Now, I know this is a celebration of John's life. There are some who might say we shouldn't dwell on such things. But that's what I'm talking about.
he also is our brother John Lewis.
Yes, he is.
We are proud, longtime sisters in the Order of the Eastern Star. My mother, as of today, is still worthy matron of Marshall Chapter,
Number 239.
and her reign will end and she'll go into the past matron realms on August the 1st. And I am a sister in the Order of the Eastern Star, long time Prince Hall, Deborah Chapter number 424 in Great Charlotte, North Carolina, the Queen City. And our father was worshipful master in Sandy Bluff Lodge number
44.
44. And who is speaking?
44.
Hey, so rest in love to Brother John. Rest in love, and we want to send all love and light to the Masonic family. True family to the core of service.
Yes.
No sister or brother left behind. Understanding, peace, and power, and for the greater good of service.
Yes.
Not pomp and circumstance, but the greater good of service. Yes. Well done,
Well done.
John Lewis, Brother John. And also Phi Beta Sigma, Fraternity Incorporated. Got some Sigmas in the family. And we thank you so much for logging into our coverage. We're going to finish listening to Barack Obama. We'll be doing more live coverage. We thank you so much for logging in with us here at 1021 Magazine. We really appreciate the love. I am BB Davis, publisher and founder of 1021. This is my mom, Dee Davis. And we thank you so much for logging in.
Do not be silent.
Do not.
For I am with you.
Yes.
And no one will attack you to harm you, for I have many in this city who are my people.
Ooh, speak.
It's just, everybody's got to come out. Nope. We got all those people in the city, but they can't do nothing. Like John, we got to keep getting into that good trouble.
Good try.
He knew that nonviolent protest is patriotic.
Okay.
A way to raise public awareness and put a spotlight on injustice and make the powers that be uncomfortable. Like John, we don't have to choose between protests and politics. It's not an either-or situation. It's a both-and situation. We have to engage in protests where that's effective, but we also have to translate our passion and our causes in the laws.
Yes.
It's in institutional practices.
Yes.
That's why John ran for Congress 34 years ago.
Yes.
Like John, we've got to fight even harder for the most powerful tool that we have, which is the right to vote.
Right.
The Voting Rights Act is one of the crowning achievements of our democracy. It's why John crossed that bridge. It's why he spilled his blood.
Yes.
And by the way, it was the result of Democratic and Republican efforts. President Bush, who spoke here earlier, and his father signed its renewal when they were in office.
Okay.
President Clinton didn't have to because it was the law when he arrived. So instead he made a law to make it easier for people to register to vote.
And there's CNN. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
The Supreme Court weakened the Voting Rights Act.
And the Army. So we are in the heart of
designed specifically to make voting hard. Especially, by the way, state legislature where there's a lot of minority turnout and population growth. That's not necessarily a mystery or an answer. It was an attack on what John fought for. It was an attack on our democratic freedoms. We should treat it as such. If politicians want to honor John, and I'm so grateful for the legacy and work of all the congressional leaders who are here, but there's a better way than a statement calling him a hero. You want to honor John? Let's honor him by revitalizing the law that he was willing to die for.
Absolutely.
And by the way, naming it the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, that is a fine tribute. But John wouldn't want us to stop there, just trying to get back to where we already were. Once we pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, we should keep marching to make it even better.
Yes.
By making sure every American is automatically registered to vote, including former inmates who've earned their second chance. Woo! By adding polling places, expanding early voting, and making Election Day a national holiday. So if you are somebody who's working in a factory, or you're a single mom who's got to go to her job and doesn't get time off, you can still cast your ballot.
Yes. Without fear of polls.
By guaranteeing that every American citizen has equal representation in our government, including the American citizens who live in Washington, D.C. and in Puerto Rico. They're Americans.
Yes.
By ending some of the partisan gerrymandering so that all voters have the power to choose their politicians, not the other way around. And if all this takes eliminating the filibuster, another Jim Crow relic, in order to secure the God-given rights of every American, then that's what we should do.
Yes. thank you so much for locking in to our coverage. We are going to go right now, but we wanted just to let everyone know that we are here, and it's going to be a lot more coverage that we would do in the city. And then I will be doing my off scene with some close ones. And Mom, you'll be relaxing a little bit and doing what you need to do. But we definitely thank you all for locking in, and we want to let you know, be about your marching orders, whatever side of the fence that you're on, but you make sure you get out and you vote. You make sure that you stay safe and stay masked up and do what you need to do for not only yourselves, but for your loved ones, and for those of humanity. You know, myself as a philanthropist and a humanitarian, and deeply just for service and not for pomp and circumstances or anything like that. For the yen, make sure you do your part so that you can get out, cast your vote, because we're all in this together, not just with the upcoming elections, but we're in it with this pandemic that's going to be with us for quite some time. So we definitely need to do what we need to do. Okay? So thank you so much for locking in. More to come, and peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love, everybody. And rest in peace, power and love to Sir John Lewis.